Today I want to make a start sorting this out. We got this new soundbar recently. It was bigger than the old one, so I've just had to cable tie it to the old brackets. I've got all of these cables dangling down, which go to this game console that's on my windowsill. I just want to make this area a lot tidier, so I'm going to build a media wall with some hidden storage. As you can see, more storage space in this room is needed. Our old TV is being retired as it doesn't play nicely with the new soundbar. I'm also going to be replacing the TV bracket for one that swivels, for reasons I'll show later. I've wanted a new TV for a while. This new one is a refurbed model, so I got a good deal on it. And as everyone knows, you can't replace a TV with one the same size, you have to get a bigger one. It's the law. I had to shorten the curtain poles for what I want to build and make some new ends for them as the old ones were pretty useless. And then I can get the filling and paint touch-ups done. I have a full sheet of 18mm MDF and lots of offcuts too. Hopefully there's enough material here to work with. With all the cutting done, the next job is to build 3 boxes. This one will be the bottom box. I used glue and pin nails to hold it together temporarily while I get it squared up and fixed with screws. There's another box which will be the top part, and a third box for the middle which will hold the soundbar. I can double up the thickness of the MDF on the bottom of the bottom box, the top of the middle box, and both the top and bottom of the top box. It'll be clear why I'm being selective about which areas I'm doubling up when it comes to assembling this later on. Not only will those double layers make it look nice and chunky, but it'll also keep everything rigid. These units are quite large and I don't want the MDF to sag. Then it's on with a coat of primer. Normally I would wait for this to dry and then denib everything to get it all smooth. But this time I'm going to get a couple of coats of this charcoal paint on it straight away. My plan is to do all the denibbing and final touch-ups once all the units are installed. I'm drilling a couple of holes which I can use for running cables later too. I had some old shelf pins which will be useful as I want one of the shelves that I'll be adding later to be adjustable. So here I'm marking up where to drill some 5mm holes. And then I can make those shelves from more doubled up MDF. The final component for now will be a plinth. I've made this to be the same height as the skirting boards. With the carpet removed, I get the plinth secured to the skirting boards. My bottom box can then be secured to the plinth. Now I can glue the middle box onto the bottom box, which will double up that layer too. You'll notice here that everything is sitting off the wall by about 18mm, the same thickness as the skirting boards, and this is deliberate. It's going to allow airflow and ventilation as the cabinets will be holding some devices later. Next I'll add some battens to the wall behind the TV, and the laser will help me get these perfectly aligned with the bottom cabinet. These are my end panels which I prepared earlier, and I can cut these to about 5mm short of the ceiling height. And I get these put in place, pushed up tight to the ceiling. I've got this end panel clamped in place now, and I've positioned it so that it is 91mm to the wall at the top and 91 at the bottom too. On the inside I want to leave a 21mm reveal, so if I mark that up here, then the distance from here to here is the amount of material I need to remove, which is 84mm. So I've set my compass to 84mm, and now I can scribe. In hindsight, I should have cut these panels a bit wider as it would have made making the cuts easier, but as it happens, the walls were pretty straight, so I basically could get away with just doing the cutouts for the coving and the skirting boards. The end panels get secured to the battens with some L brackets, and then secured to the cabinet too from the inside. And then I can get my adjustable shelf in. I also want to cut some material away to accommodate the TV, so I scribed the shape of that too, and at this point, it's best I remove the TV. About a year and a half ago, we got our first Emma mattress. Since then, it's been in daily use, or should that be nightly use, right here next to Toddler Brown's floor bed. Two things I love about Emma mattresses: temperature regulation that actually works, so I'm not waking up in the middle of the night feeling like I've been microwaved from inside out, and motion absorption, meaning when Toddler Brown decides to do a midnight starfish, most of the time we remain blissfully unaware. Now it's time to replace the mattress in our spare bedroom. So getting another one from Emma was an obvious choice. Emma also gives you a 200-night trial and a 10-year guarantee, so if you somehow don't sleep better, you can just send it back. No guilt, no drama. But this time, we've also got some of their pillows. My wife prefers a down-style pillow, so this one is for her. I, however, have always preferred a foam style pillow, and this has the thermosync cooling technology that I mentioned earlier, and I like the extra support that it gives. Emma is doing their winter giveaway right now. You can get free sleep accessories when you buy selected mattresses. You can also get an additional 5% off using my promo code RAG'N'BONE. Links in the description. Next, I want to fit a batten to hold the top cabinet, and I marked up onto the wall where the electrical cables run to the plug sockets so that I don't drill into them. Fortunately, I could see the chase that was done in the wall to hold the cables. I'm making a mistake here, but I didn't realise it just yet. When I lifted the top cabinet up there, I realised that I hadn't allowed for the 18mm gap behind the cabinet, so in other words, my batten wasn't wide enough to support it. Rather than fit a bigger batten and drill yet more holes in the wall, I'm just going to bodge this by screwing another piece of timber to the front of the batten. And to establish the gap at the back, I found some of these corner block things, which I can just screw to the back. Now lifting it onto the batten a second time, I want to mark up where to drill some holes for some L brackets to secure the top unit to the wall. That's all the units in. Now to measure up and make the doors, and this will be where the fun begins. I've had these Iroku U-channels kicking around for a while, and it's really beautiful stuff. I'm going to cut this into slats to use as cladding for the doors. I'm milling these pieces down to 10mm thickness, and I ended up with lots of narrow slats and some wider ones too. The substrate of the doors will be more 18mm MDF, and I got the backs and edges of those primed and painted, and then I can work out how I want to lay out my slats onto the fronts. I decided to alternate the narrow and wide ones with 10mm gaps in between. A couple of washers will serve as a 2mm gap between the doors, and I can get the next door alongside it to complete the layout of the slats. When I got to the end, there was a bit of a bigger overhang than I would like, so I'm going to shift everything over by 4 or 5mm from the pencil marks that I've made, just to make the layout of slats look better visually. I'll show what I mean by that shortly. I can then mask up between my pencil marks, because I want the gaps between the slats to be black. Here you'll see what I mean by how I shifted the masking tape over a bit from my pencil lines, and here you'll see that one of the gaps between slats falls right on the join between the two doors, which is great. I decided to use India ink for this as it dries much quicker than paint would. Now I need to trim about 4mm off my first slat. I can also add a small bevel onto the front edges of each slat, and then they are ready to fix in place. I have some old salvaged cup hinges that I can use for the doors, so I measure in 22mm from the back edges to get the holes drilled and hinges fitted. These style of hinges are usually only designed for doors that are up to 22mm thick, and my doors are 28mm, so I was expecting to have some issues when fitting these. But the first ones seem to be just fine, although I did need to take a little material off one of the doors. For some reason though, the top ones were a little more awkward to fit, so I needed to remove some material from the slats at the end, as originally they were catching just very slightly on the end panels. But we got there in the end. Here I'm making some skirting boards from some spare MDF to match the existing. I'm adding a spacer block to bring the skirting boards flush with the front edges of the end panels. The paint that I used on this is emulsion designed for walls and ceilings, so here I'm adding a clear acrylic varnish on any surfaces that are likely to get worn, i.e. the shelves. And it looked to me like it needed another piece of Iroku above the soundbar. I'm applying a clear wax to the Iroku, which goes on quite dark, but it will lighten when it's dry. That took a while. Now, just as it's the law that you can't upgrade a TV without getting a bigger one, it's also a law that you can't build a media wall on YouTube without integrating some LED lights. Probably looks more impressive when it's dark. The reason I wanted this on a tiltable bracket is because it's quite nice to sit by the fire to watch TV sometimes. Oh, and I do just want to address the TV too high community, because I know some of you will have typed a comment already. You see, we don't typically watch TV like this. We watch TV like this. Well, actually, that's a bit of a lie. More like this. My PS4 has been in a box in the loft for years. Now I finally have some space for it. And here's everything set up. And in the bottom, plenty of space for toys and books. I'm going to be taking a break in January. I do have a couple of videos that are likely to be out before that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this project. I'm really pleased with it, and thanks for watching.